Okay, first up, Maddie Daniel for UMBC. Sean Fagan, go ahead.
Thanks for being here, Maddie. Tough loss tonight. You did manage to get the only hit off of Hannah Bowen. I'm wondering, what was it you feel that your team, what was it you feel that led to her having such success against the rest of your team?
Like the pitcher or
Yeah.
so I think that she pitched it all around. She wasn't very predictable, so I think she definitely was successful in that aspect. And so, I mean, overall, their team did really well. They even on the field too, they backed up their pitcher well as well. Sorry, I cannot speak as well.
And then, so your team still isn't out of it. You'll be facing Nova tomorrow. So, what are the preparations going to look like for that game to ensure that you'll be back here tomorrow at 7 p.m. as well?
So, I mean, every game's different, and I think that now we're gonna just try and work on hitting on top of the ball and scoring our runners and definitely making less errors. Probably about it.
Ryan Kelpire, go ahead.
So, Maddie, what was today just like for you? Obviously, being from Arizona and then coming up and you're the first batter of the game and you get that single.
I mean, it was a great feeling because I've been working right when we were practicing on the field. I was like, okay, I'm gonna chop the ball, and I was able to accomplish that goal. So I think that was awesome. I mean, granted, I didn't get any other hits, but that's all right. I mean, I was able to chop it and accomplish the goal that I wanted to. So
And then just what was it like for you? I'm sure having your family and some friends, and you said your old coaches were going to be here as well.
yeah, oh my gosh, it was so great to see them and be able to see me play in Arizona again. It was fantastic, and I was so happy to see them.
Troy Hutchinson, you're up next.
Eddie, when you got that hit and you guys got that rally going in the first inning, I don't know if you heard the UMBC fans, but they were cheering you guys on. So what was that like to have that kind of support all the way across the country?
I think that going to UMBC, we have so much support, and because it's a small school, it's like a small community. And even when we left to go, like there were so many people cheering us on, and it's great to have so many supporters even come all the way from Arizona. I mean, it is great to see them there, and not only at our home games, but even our away games. So I'm happy to see them.
You guys seem like a pretty upbeat team. You never let the moment get too big. So what did coach say to you guys after today's game, looking ahead to tomorrow's matchup with Villanova?
I mean, he was positive, and he was like, you know what, it's gonna happen, and we got to prepare for the next game, and don't dwell on the negatives. We need to be more positive on what happened today. We learn from it, we forget about it, and we're gonna move on to the next game, and that's all we can do.
Ryan, go ahead.
You guys had a tough day defensively. I mean, how much do you, I guess, attribute that to just the big stage that this is and playing in front of so many people? I imagine that kind of makes you a little bit nervous.
Yeah, it was definitely a difficult field to field on for sure, and I think that now that we got all the jitters out, I think it'll be better tomorrow. But I mean, it happens. No one's ever gonna play perfect, and so I think we're just gonna forget about it, move on to tomorrow.
And when you say the field is a little bit different, is it bouncier? That's what people always say. How hard is it
Yeah.
to adjust to that?
It's definitely you gotta have quicker hands, and it's definitely hard to time the bounce, but it's not impossible. We're all good. We got it now. I mean, we got it out now, so we're all good.
And we'll finish up with PJ Brown. Go ahead, PJ.
So were there a lot of jitters for you coming out here because, and maybe a little bit extra pressure because you were playing here in front of your family and your friends and in Arizona?
To be honest, it sounds weird, but not really. It felt like I was more at home because playing in this weather, seeing my friends and my family there, I actually was pretty relaxed. Like it was cool to play at such a great stadium and such a beautiful field. And then I mean, it was so great. I don't think I really had much jitters. I think it literally, like I said, it felt like home.
And are you excited about coming back out tomorrow to play another game?
Of course I'm excited.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Maddie.
All right, thank you.
Adam, can you put your hand in front of the camera? We're good. Okay, we're now joined by Courtney Coppersmith. Troy Hutchinson, go ahead.
So Courtney, in that first inning, Arizona was able to get the bases loaded with nobody out, and you're able to work out of the jam. Take me through that inning and how were you able to give up no runs during that stretch?
I mean, I relied on the defense, and even though we had a couple miscues early on, I mean, at the end of the day, it just because you make an error one time doesn't mean that you're going to make it the next time. So you still got to trust your defense and know that they have your back if you let the ball get hit, which I mean, Arizona's a great hitting team. So of course they're going to hit the ball, and just trying to go out there and give it my all and keep them off from scoring, because the last time we were in Oklahoma, they scored in the first inning. So I think that was a big win for us and not letting them score.
And then can you take me through the Jesse Harper at bat, the home run?
I mean, Jessie Harper is a big name. I mean, she just hit her 90th career home run, so she's a power hitter. And I just didn't get the ball up high enough. But I mean, there were still some wins. Just because somebody hits it out doesn't mean that you didn't have wins in the at bat. I had some swings and misses. I had some that they were looking at. So, I mean, again, you're going up against the best of the best at this point. So you leave one even just a little tiny bit fat. I said it yesterday, it's going to leave.
Sean Fagan, you're up next.
Thanks for being here, Courtney. So,
Thank you.
if you could sum up the game besides the errors that unfortunately happened, do you feel that your team was played to the best, meaning as they were as successful as they could be?
I mean, I don't know if I would say as successful as we could be, because I know we can play some great ball. But at the end of the day, when we played against Oklahoma, we did not get a single runner on. We had a perfect game thrown against us, a combined perfect game where we had mostly strikeouts. So the fact that we only had 4 strikeouts in the game and we were putting the ball in play, making them make plays, at the end of the day, that's the biggest win for us, just because we could have played even better than that. I mean, again, as I said, we're going up against one of the biggest teams that is in the country. So, I mean, those little miscues, yeah, they hurt us, but we're still putting the ball in play and making them make plays. So at the end of the day, that's a huge win.
And then a quick follow-up on that. So you could potentially see Arizona again. So what do you feel that you and your team could take from this loss and to try and use it to then, if you do play them again, play even better and to try and win that game?
I think a lot of us were able to get some of the jitters out. I mean, we had a lot of people that have never been to the NCAA tournament before, so a lot of jitters. I mean, again, Arizona's field, in my opinion, it's a little hard, so that's not something that we're used to. Our field is a little not as hard. It doesn't bounce as much. So I think that's where some of our miscues were, and a little more time on that, a little more trusting that you've got it is going to definitely help. But also, the hardest game is now over. So we got the first one out of the way. Now we just got to come out strong, knowing and playing our game that we know how to play.
Ryan Kellepier, go ahead.
And you mentioned the jitters. What was it like pitching in an atmosphere like this?
I mean, I think the whole stands behind you were like full. So I mean, when they start cheering U of A, U of A, I mean, I try to like think at least maybe they're cheering for me, even though I know they're not. So I was trying to use that instead of like where Oklahoma, you had 2 strikes against you and they started clapping, you knew that you were probably gonna go just sit down and be in the bench. But like here, the atmosphere was awesome. I mean, you just have to use it for you instead of against you. Like I said yesterday, can't let it get to you. Gotta use it and let it fuel you.
And against this lineup, it's a very deep lineup. I mean, how focused do you have to be every single pitch, every single batter when you're facing a team like this?
I mean, when you're facing a team like this, again, as I said, you can't miss. You miss, it goes over the fence. I mean, that's how most of the big names are. You got some great home run hitting people, and you got some people that just have a lot of power and can find it, even if that ball is just a little bit too much on the plate, and just make a nice poke on it, find a hole. So you definitely have to make sure that you've got the stuff every single pitch. I mean, you can't miss. So that was good.
And last question for Troy Hutchinson. Go ahead, Troy.
So looking at tomorrow, you guys are playing Villanova. What are the keys to keeping their lineup off balance? Because that's a team with 57 home runs on the season.
Yeah, I mean, again, keeping people off balance is the best idea, and it's the only way that you can truly keep them with as little hits as possible. But it's just, again, trying to find their weaknesses and playing the defense that we know how to play and just playing our game and having fun because it could be the last game of the season. So you got to go out and give it your all because you might not get the next one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And we're joined by UMBC coach Chris Kohlmeyer. Sean Fagan, you're first.
Thanks for being here, Coach. So, other than the errors that happened with your team, do you feel that not only your team but the entire school as itself presented itself in a great way of your very first appearance in the NCAA tournament?
Well, second appearance in the NCAA tournament. Sorry, second straight. Sorry, just wanted. I'm not trying to correct you anything, but no, second straight. But I'm pretty proud of the team. It was, I think going into it, our team was used to was at Oklahoma 2 years ago. They had talked about all week how yes, the lights were a little bit bigger back then at Oklahoma, and they came into it not expecting to win, and I think that they showed that in that game against them today. They had the feeling, we talked about it last night, with like, look, you guys can beat the U of A. It's going to take a perfect game, okay? And we have a pitcher who can go toe to toe with a lot of people. Like, you guys are going to have to play great defense. We're going to have to take advantage of when we get runners to score in position. We're going to have to get a big hit here and there, and Courtney and whoever other comes in the game after that's going to have their best games. And Courtney pitched well enough to win us a ball game. And our defense, made some great plays, and our defense made some really uncharacteristic plays today. And it's unfortunate, but we'll bounce back tomorrow, and we're going to play Villanova now, a familiar foe. We played them 2 games already this year, and let's see if we can't keep stretching the season one more game.
And then one quick follow-up on that.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it besides the defensive fixes? What do you want to see from your offense? What do you want to see change from today in terms of the game tomorrow?
We just got to come up when we talk about it all year long. Some days are better than others, and Rouse is a good good pitcher for Villanova. But when we get our leadoff hitters on like we did today, or it doesn't matter who's in, gets around to second base, second and third base, we got to come up with a big hit. It's all there is to it. We don't have to have a big flashy home run. We don't have to have triples. We just need to string together singles. We just got to keep passing the bat down the line, and that's the biggest thing I told them tonight was like, we just have to make those adjustments tomorrow. We're going to play Villanova. We know who they are. We've seen them already this year once. We split with them, so we go in the game pretty confident.
Troy Hutchinson, you're up next.
So Maddie and Courtney both talked about the ground being kind of hard here in Tucson, that might have played a role in the errors. Did you feel that way, or?
Well, I'll give them this. I played out here several times before with different programs, and it's still one of the hardest fields in the nation. You've seen those bounces that, U of A gets, or like Maddie got in the first inning with her at bat. You just don't get those at other places. So it is a lot different. Our field's nowhere near as hard. We, a lot of the fields out east that we play on, don't even come close to how hard the field is. But, at the same time, we were on it yesterday. They knew what to expect. And today they just, we made some good plays on defense yesterday, and we had our practice. Today we just didn't come up with those plays when it counted. So we're going to have to definitely play, make those adjustments tomorrow, not having an excuse that the infield's hard. You still got to make a play, no matter what, and get the outs and back our pitchers up better.
And then although you guys had one hit, you guys were able to put together that first inning rally that fell just short. Is that one thing you can draw positive from today going into tomorrow?
Yeah, I think so. And I think we were close to quite a few times of getting some big hits off of Bowen. She's a good pitcher, and I watched her several times, her and Denham both several times on film, this week going into the game. And, I think Denham and Bowen are both good pitchers. And I think we had a good game plan against them. I think we got in the middle innings, and I think we kind of got away from the game plan a little bit. And I think that's what we saw. We just were not, be able to string together enough hits together. Of course, throughout the game, we only got one hit, but at least being able to draw a few more walks, keep extending innings. Maybe we get another hitter up. Maybe we do poke one somewhere to score a couple runs, make that a different ball game. But, we'll bounce back. We'll talk about it again tonight when we get back to the hotel and tomorrow. And, we'll see what we can do against Nova.
Ryan, go ahead.
You talked about Bowen. What impressed you, I guess, about the way she pitched today?
I mean, she's, of course, she's got velocity. It's probably, one of the hardest pitchers we've seen all year. She's got good movement, and she has good command of the strike zone. And the one thing that I've seen, especially the one game I watched, maybe a few times, was her going up against Oregon a couple weeks back. And she's just a heck of a competitor. And she's, when she gave up that hit and get to Maddie in the first inning, I instantly saw she was like, I don't think so. You're not getting another hit tonight. And we put together, we hit her pretty hard a few times and just happened to go right at people. But she's got good movement, she got good velocity, she's got great command of her pitches, and that's what makes her tough. And if you don't attack her early in the count, especially with her pitches that she has, it's just hard to be able to keep extending a bat off that kid, be able to, before she finally makes a mistake. She just doesn't make too many of those.
And we talked yesterday about Maddie returning to Arizona. So what was it like to see her lead off the game with that single? It seemed like it kind of gave your team a sense of belief there.
Absolutely. Like I said yesterday, I think Maddie returning to her home state, for this tournament is one of the best storylines in the whole NCAA tournament. And her leading off that inning with a single was still one of the coolest things, I think, in the tournament, be able to continue to play with that storyline. So I was very happy for her. I was like, when she got on base, I just looked at her, started laughing, and pointed at her. And was like, you can't write this. It would have been better if she would have scored that inning, definitely, to add to that story, but we were close.
And we'll try and squeeze in one last question here. Troy Hutchinson, you're up.
Both players mentioned the crowd noise, and I think Courtney said that she was pretending they were cheering for her. Do you think that factored into today's game, playing in a sold-out stadium?
Honestly, I don't. And the only reason I say that, I think I'll take that back. I think maybe for a few of our kids it did. But I think for the rest of them, I think they honestly said that the crowd this time around did not affect them as much. And I'm not saying that to say that the crowd wasn't as noisy or as raucous as Oklahoma was last time we were in this or anything like that, because it was really loud. But I think just a couple years more maturity with a lot of our kids led to it, like, okay, yeah, it's still another ball game. We got to go out there and play. It's just going to have more people in the stands this time around. And I think that showed that this time around, and we put on a little bit better show this time.
Thank you, Coach.
Absolutely, guys. We'll see y'all tomorrow.